Welcome back to the Sound for More channel and welcome back to another tutorial and demonstration. Today I have the pleasure to tell you a little bit more about the sequencer inside Mercury 8 from Cherry Audio. Before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe as it helps with growing the channel. Additionally, if you would like to support what I do, please do check again the instruction contained in each video description. Thank you again. So, the first thing I want to do is to go to a preset which I created, which sounds like so. On the upper part of the keyboard, so on the upper layer, we have this type of bell sound. And on the lower part, therefore, we have a split. Okay, so let's focus today on the sequencer, as I mentioned. And let's start paying attention to which layer is selected or which part is selected. So let's go to the lower one, where I have this bass. Now, some of the things I'm going to show you may be replicated using the arpeggio, but we are not talking about the arpeggio today. So let's focus on the sequencer. And let's say that I want to have a rhythm playing on the lower part. Something simple, just a repetition of notes for now. Something like that. Well, first of all, you need to turn it on. Okay, and it says sequencer router lower, so and it is on here. Next, what you can do a live recording. So click on live recording. You can see the first step is selected there, and now press the keys. And as you press the key, it records that note on the step and it moves to the next one. Okay, and when it's finished, you can see it is off live recording. How does you know where to finish? Because the number of steps are set as 16, which you can see the indicator here, which you can also change something like just moving it like that. Okay, and like that to restore it. Or you can change, click on the step here and then just select the number of steps as you prefer, and then go back to notes there. Now, in order to activate it, although it is on, nothing happens, right? And if you turn on also the hosting, or should I say the transport control on the host, still nothing happens, okay? Because you need to enable the lower part here to start, which you can do clicking here or clicking this button, which enable also the upper part. So now you can click this button to stop, or you can disable it, right? Like so. Not very good to actually disable it. So that is a simple way to record steps in live recording mode. Okay, so now you can see a triangle here pointing down. Click on it, and now you can click on or select the reset button. So you have a lot of different options. And now if you enable the lower part, it starts, but there's nothing recorded, right? So let's do something different now, something like, so up and down. You can see now that when I'm pressing this key here, because there is a split, is going to play the other part, the upper part, but that doesn't matter. So let's go to live recording and record these octave up and down. And you can see hopefully the keys that I'm pressing on the keyboard. Let's turn these on again. So you can see, although I was pressing this key here, which triggered the upper part or the upper layer, is still playing with the lower part, which makes perfect sense. Now, you might be thinking, well, it's not always good that I need to click here to start it, right? True. So you can select sequencer on. Okay, so you press a key, nothing happens, but if you now enable it, it doesn't start. If you press a key, Now it starts when you press a key, but it never stops. If you want it to stop, enable the stop here. Now, press and hold the key. Of course, you need to activate it first. Press and hold the key. Let go, and it stops where you let go because you have sequencer on and sequencer off based on keyboard control. Okay? So now you could play a little bit. Hopefully you can see I'm playing some simple melody here at the top, right? Now, if I press a different key on the lower register of my external controller, something like that here, you hear this note being played, and you hear also the original sequence, which is this plus this note here alternating. It would be good that if I press this key, it transposes up, and also it doesn't play this key, right? So in order to do that, click transpose here. Okay, so let's try now. Let's press first the C note here and then the E flat here. So it is transposing up and down from the C note, okay? So is going by that starting note. So if you go to this key here, it will transpose by a single step. Which is a nice effect if that is what you do. So you can go by semitones, right, instead of a single tone. Okay, that is really nice. Now you can also play only once, like so. Okay, you can also play ping pong. Or you can randomize it, which in this case it doesn't make sense because it's only those two notes separated by an octave. But you can see it's jumping up, it's jumping left and right between the different steps, right? Let's put it back on loop mode. Also, I want to sync it here to the host, okay? Okay, that sounds really cool. Now, let's go to the upper part or upper layer. Okay, let's turn on the sequencer. Again, this time the route is to upper, as you can see here, which is great. Now, let's record a sequence here, something really simple, okay? I would like for that last note to last these 4 steps. So how do I do that? Click on tie and then click this step, which you link or tie to the previous one, and then you can do the same on the others. And that is how you use tie as well. Now, let's say sequence on, sequence off, okay? Let's don't transpose it for now. Let's sync it to host, of course. And now let's start it, of course, and let's have a go. So hopefully you can see we are starting to have quite a bit of fun, really, with the way that it works, right? So if you want to delete a note, well, it's very simple. Just click a note and then select erase. You can also click undo, and that will restore the note that you have erased. You can also decide to add the accent as well, and then you press the notes which you want to give an accent or not. When you are in note mode, if you press a step, you can see it is green. And if you select another note, like for example, a stranger note, it will record that. So let's try. So you can hear that. So if I'm on that note and I select it to, I click on here, it goes to red, and therefore you cannot change it. Of course, you can undo again. And undo again. Okay, so you have undone what you have modified. Okay, so there are different controls to do a bit of swing, to change the probability, the feel, and of course the speed. So you could go to 16. And why not? Let's also enable transpose, so we don't need to have these enabled. Okay, let's go for it. Of course, you need to have these enabled, so my mistake. And of course, you can go and check the lower layer, just in case you need to do so, right? So that's how it works. Now, let's do something else as well. So again, if I press and hold this C note here, so it's playing that pattern. Let's change the speed to 1/8. You can see there are pattern here. So what you can do is to create additional pattern, go into another one and record, or you can also copy. Go here on the triangle, you can say transpose up, transpose down by a single step or an octave -12. You can clear the pattern notes, tie accent, and here you can copy pattern A into pattern B, which is really good. And now what you can do is you can go to pattern B. And for example, let's say that I want to delete some note like so. I delete the even note just to create a bit of variation like so. And then what you can do is go back to the first one, okay? Say that you want these repeated twice before it goes to the second pattern, and you can also click to disable pattern C and D. So now when I play, it will play pattern A twice, and then it will move to pattern B, which will be played twice, and then it starts again to A. So let's try. Now, remember, it can get very messy depending on where you are. So click here to, of course, exit the pattern sequence mode, okay? Click the pattern that you want to modify. And then if you want to restart, again, click that and then go for it. Of course, pay attention as you press the key, it will get to restart that button. And that is why sometimes there can be a bit of confusion in terms of how many times it played, because it is actually restarting, right? Let it go, and then I click again a note, or select a note, or press a key. So it's played already twice, right? Press again. You can see it has restarted. Press again. So remember that will affect the pattern sequence which is being played. And as I said, it can get a little bit confusing. And also pay attention to which layer or part you have selected, because sometimes you might be thinking you're modifying a part when in reality you have not selected the right part here in terms of lower or upper. Okay, so, and in essence, that it is how it works. But of course, you can then augment it with also the arpeggio as part of Mercury 8, which makes it really, really good. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the short demonstration and tutorial. And as always, see you next time. Bye.